Hi, I hope you're all having a great summer. And in this encore, we take a look at some of the truly great movies we've reviewed this season. Yes, I'm talking about 12 Angry Men and Elmer Gantry, and 2001: A Space Odyssey and The Graduate. And of course, we'll have Carla's Campy Pics, and we'll answer your email. So, pick up your iced tea, lean back, pick up your feet, and let's get going. Now we turn to our classic movie, and this one's all about the actors in the story. Of course, you need a good script, a good director. This film had the great Sidney Lumet directing and all that. But when you get down to it, a movie comes down to great acting and a great story, not special effects, monsters, or lavish sets. The movie is 1957's 12 Angry Men.
I'm just saying it's possible.
And I say it's not possible. I want you to watch this because I don't want to have to do it again. I'll make myself about 6 or 7 inches shorter, okay?
It's about right, maybe a little more.
Okay, a little more.
What's on? Here's what I think happened.
How could he be positive about anything?
I don't understand you people. I mean, all these picky little points you keep bringing up, they don't mean nothing.
And boy, did this film have the cast. Henry Fonda is juror number 8. Do you know he didn't win an Oscar until On Golden Pond, about 25 years after starring in this movie? Tell me that's not unbelievable. Lee J. Cobb. I love Lee J. Cobb. Marty Balsam, E.G. Marshall, Jack Klugman. Oscar Madison was also a fine dramatic actor. Jack Warden and Ed Begley. On the surface, the movie's about one juror, Fonda, who's at first a lone holdout for not guilty in the murder trial of a Puerto Rican kid from the slums of New York, and the other 11 jurors who finally come around to his way of thinking. But it's about so much more than that.
I don't understand you people. I mean, all these picky little points you keep bringing up, they don't mean nothing. You saw this kid just like I did. You're not going to tell me you believe that phony story about losing the knife and that business about being at the movies? Look, you know how these people lie? It's born in them. I mean, what the heck? I don't have to tell you. They don't know what the truth is. And let me tell you, they don't need any real big reason to kill someone either. No, sir. They get drunk. Oh, they're real big drinkers, all of them. You know that. And bang, someone's lying in the gutter. Well, nobody's blaming them for it. That's the way they are, by nature. You know what I mean? Violent. Where are you going? Human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us. Look, they're lushing it up and fighting all the time, and if somebody gets killed, so somebody gets killed, they don't care. Oh, sure, there's some good things about them, too. Look, I'm the first one to say that. I've known a couple who were okay, but that's the exception, you know what I mean? Most of them, it's like they have no feelings. They can do anything.
And look at how the jurors reacted to what's going on. This movie's about prejudice and how you deal with it, about one man standing on principle in the face of pressure and tremendous discord and enmity. Conflict, about 12 personalities, their reasoning and the conflicts in their lives that cause them to come to the conclusions they do. One strange thing, especially nowadays, no women on the jury. This movie had basically only one set, the jury room. In fact, all but about 4 minutes of the movie's in the jury room. So that leaves the actors to do their thing, and boy, do they. It's a great, intense movie that really everyone should enjoy. Now it's time for my classic pick, and I've got a movie for you that I absolutely loved. And it had one of my favorite acting performances ever. It's Burt Lancaster in 1960's Elmer Gantry.
Elmer Gantry is an all-American boy. He's interested in money, sex, and religion. What the hell's the big idea?
Elmer.
You really think I want to sit still for a shakedown?
Baby, how could I put the squeeze
The old
on
badger
you?
game, huh?
Who's going to take the word of a $5 hooker
You better
against
make it
Elmer
good.
Gantry? I only wanted to see you for...
For what?
Well,
For what?
What do you think will get you into God's own glorious heaven? This ace of spades? Your bank book? Or this pledge to be a good Christian?
I'd like to tear those holy wings off you, make a real woman out of you. I'd show you what heaven's like. No golden stairways or harp music or silvery clouds. Just ecstasy, coming and going. Sin, sin, sin. You're all sinners. You're all doomed to perdition.
Lancaster was magnificent. He won an Oscar, as did co-star Shirley Jones. Yup, Shirley Partridge of the Partridge Family. The stellar cast also included previous winners Gene Simmons and Dean Jagger, and Arthur Kennedy, a 5-time nominee who lost out to my father 9 years earlier in 1951 for my father's Charlie Allnut in African Queen. The movie's about a charismatic, big-drinking, traveling salesman who stumbles on a revivalist show run by Gene Simmons, Sister Falconer, and they join up and become lovers. Then Gantry draws the attention of a big city reporter played by Kennedy and a former Gantry girlfriend, now a hooker, as I said, played by Shirley Jones.
Gantry has a voice made for promises.
Can he save anybody?
Can he?
Can he? Anywhere, anytime. In the tent, standing up, laying down, or any other way.
And he's got plenty of ways.
Lulu? Was you saved by him, Lulu, honey?
Sister, I was saved by him way back in Schonheim, Kansas. Love. Love is the morning and the evening star. And what is love? Not the carnal, but the divine love. Oh, he gave me special instructions back at the pulpit Christmas Eve. He got to howling, repent, repent. And I got to moaning, save me, save me.
Shirley was just so good. And the film was directed by one of my father's great friends, the brilliant Richard Brooks, who was also a writer. My father loved writers. Brooks won an Oscar for the screenplay. He was also Bogey's director in Deadline USA. He's usually left out of the great director discussions, but let's see. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, Looking for Mr. Goodbar, Blackboard Jungle, not bad, I'd say. But the movie, it was Lancaster's.
And before I'm through, I'm going to give you all the hell in the Bible. And if you don't like it, you better fix it up with the Lord, because the Lord put it there. Listen to me, sinners. Listen to me, sinners. You can't pray to kingdom come and play bridge or poker. And mother, you can't say your psalms and look at God through the bottom of a beer mug, now can you? And you, brother, you can't go to church on Sunday and cheat at business on Monday. We're coming back to you, God. We're coming back to the old-time religion.
As I said, this is one of my favorite performances by any actor. I was as enamored with Lancaster in this movie when I first saw it 40 years ago as I am now. And I urge you to watch it. Real entertainment, Hollywood style. Now it's that time to dip into the Bogart on Movies mailbox. Andy in South Palm Beach writes, I had access to some genealogy websites that I used to look up famous people, and I found some census forms from New York, from Manhattan in 1920 that has information on your father, his sister, and his mother and father. I thought you might get a kick out of these. Andy, this is great, and I really appreciate it. Unfortunately, the quality of these old forms is not good enough to show on TV, but again, I really appreciate your sending them to me. Now, Curtis in Lake Worth writes, love your show, and I particularly enjoy your real hits. How do you pick them? Some are really classics. Well, Curtis, I just look for movies that I like growing up, ones that most of you have probably seen, but maybe not for a long time. I look for movies that are timeless, that are entertaining, and definitely worth another look. Oh, and by the way, thank God for your lovely wife, Mish, who makes me look good on every single show. You can email me, send me your comments and questions to stevebogart@wxel.org, and include your name and your hometown. This week's Campy pick is the Tingler. And in 1959, when it was released, the producer issued a warning to viewers. really scary.
I'm William Castle, and I feel obligated to warn you about the next attraction you will see at this theater. The picture is The Tingler, which I directed. And for the first time in motion picture history, members of the audience, including you, will actually play a part in the picture. You will feel some of the physical reactions, the shocking sensations experienced by the actors on the screen. I guarantee that The Tingler has more shocks per minute than my last film, The House on Haunted Hill. But don't be alarmed. You can protect yourself. When you see the picture, you will be told, and remember the instruction, how you can guard yourself from attack by The Tingler. And now may I show you a few scenes from The Tingler?
You can imagine the auditions for this one. The loudest screamers got the parts. That's showbiz.
Famous Monsters of Hollywood magazine names it Shock Award winner, the Monster of Piedras Blancas. The Monster of Piedras Blancas, the world's most shocking monster, stalks its unsuspecting prey, feasts its eyes on the next victim to writhe in its slimy arms. The screen's most nightmarish beast. A claw-fingered, scaly-skinned, half-human crustacean, turning a lonely lighthouse village into a frenzied bedlam of blood-curdling horror. Never have you known such cringing terror, such drawn by love to the forbidden cove of the sea monster, then trapped in a torment of unendurable suspense. In the screen monsterama of 1,000 incredible... See the movie named the most brain-paralyzing shock story of them all, The Monster of Piedras Blancas.
Now it's time for my pick, and we're going to go back to 1968 and a movie we all flocked to see that spring, Stanley Kubrick's magnificent epic, 2001, A Space Odyssey. The film, co-written by Kubrick and the great sci-fi writer Arthur C. Clarke, was in its simplest form about the dawn of man to the space exploration age. The space exploration age? We hadn't even landed on the moon when this came out. But its themes are all about life, technology, and E.T. It starred Keir Dullea and Gary Lockwood, but there really isn't much dialogue. And no offense, but the film overpowers the actors, and it's supposed to. Kubrick wanted this to be a non-verbal experience, and it was, with an unforgettable, otherworldly soundtrack. By the way, none of it written for the film, but instead put together with already existing classical music pieces, including Johann Strauss's Blue Danube Waltz, and iconic visuals like the encounters with the big black monoliths, the man-apes learning how to use the bone, remember that, as a tool and a weapon? And how about the rogue computer, HAL 9000, that some 30 years before computers even began their rule over our lives?
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
What are you talking about, Hal?
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Hal.
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me, and I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
All right, Hal. I'll go in through the emergency airlock.
Without your space helmet, Dave, we're going to find that rather difficult.
Hal, I won't argue with you anymore. Open the doors.
Dave, this conversation can serve no purpose anymore. Goodbye.
Hal? Hal? Hal?
Can anyone say prescient? Behind it all is the great Stanley Kubrick. Maybe great isn't enough to describe this director. Spartacus, Dr. Strangelove, Clockwork Orange. Oh, he didn't win Best Director for any of those either. This film influenced the like of Spielberg and George Lucas, as well as a generation of young people, including me. You should see it. If you've seen it before, see it again. Now it's time for my real hit, and I got a movie for you that was not only a bellwether for my generation and marks the first major role for one of my all-time favorite actors, Dustin Hoffman, but it also made generational icons of the already popular folk duo Simon and Garfunkel. The movie, of course, is 1967's The Graduate.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
Listen, everybody, I want you all to be quiet. I've got Ben's college yearbook here, and I just want to read you some of the wonderful things about Ben.
The point is, I don't love your wife, I love your daughters, sir.
Are you going to Scarborough Fair?
I want to ask you a question, and then I'm going.
From him?
No. I want to know why you're here in Berkeley. Is it because I'm here?
Well, look, I love you.
Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme.
Will you marry me? Are we getting married tomorrow?
Why don't you just drag me off if you want to marry me so much?
You can't stop me from seeing her, Mrs. Robinson. I'll find her.
Sorry we won't be able to invite you to the wedding, Benjamin, but the arrangements have been so rushed.
What a great scene. The movie's about college grad Benjamin Braddock, who's seduced by an older woman and falls in love with her daughter.
Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me. Aren't you?
Have you gotten us a room yet?
I haven't, no.
Do you want to? I'll get undressed now. Is that all right?
Sure. Shall I just stand here? I don't know what you want me to do.
Why don't you watch?
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Everything about this movie is superb. The acting, it's Hoffman's first big role, and it made him a superstar for everyone my age. It co-stars Anne Bancroft. If you can believe it, Doris Day, yes, Doris Day and Jane Fonda. They both turned down the part. Bancroft's luscious portrayal of Mrs. Robinson made her a sexual fantasy for every guy. Catherine Ross, wonderful as daughter Elaine. Patty Duke, Sally Field, and Shirley MacLaine all turned that one down. All three of those actors got Oscar nominations. Also watch for cameos by Mike Farrell from MASH and Richard Dreyfuss. And then there's that incredible score, the Simon and Garfunkel soundtrack. It was so big that when the album, yes, album, was released in 1968, it pushed the Beatles' White Album off the top of the charts. And the director, the truly brilliant, multi-Tony and multi-Oscar winner Mike Nichols, who won the directing Oscar for this movie. Here's a Nichols story. Paul Simon supposedly told Nichols he was working on a song about Mrs. Roosevelt, President Roosevelt's wife, and Joe DiMaggio, but it really wasn't right for the movie. Simon played a few bars and Nichols told him to change Mrs. Roosevelt to Mrs. Robinson. And the rest is movie history. That's what separates the so-called wheat from the chaff. This is a movie for everyone. Do yourselves a favor and watch it with the kids. You'll become a kid again yourself. This week on Steve's Real Hits, I give you the only X-rated movie to win Best Picture, and one of my all-time favorites, 1969's Midnight Cowboy.
I'm Joe Buck from Texas.
Enrico Rizzo from the Bronx.
And I'm gonna buy you a drink. What the hell do you think of that?
I don't mind if I do.
Why do you think I come all the way up here from Texas for? Well, I'm a hustler. You didn't know that?
You were gonna ask me for money? Huh?
Will you get out of here?
You gotta get yourself some kind of management.
Only the echo.
Hey, I'm walking here. I'm walking here.
Don't worry about that. Actually, that ain't a bad way to pick up insurance, you know. In New York, no rich lady with any class at all buys that cowboy crap anymore.
Women like me, goddammit. Hell, the only one thing I ever been good for is loving.
But for that service, I charge $20. I happen to be his manager.
Okay.
I'll buy you coffee, huh, please? I don't think I can walk anymore. You know what they do to you when they know you can't. When they find out that you can't walk.
I'll just tell them I don't go nowhere without my buddy here. You know what you gotta do, cowboy?
I'm scared. Where are you going?
I gotta get a doctor.
No doctors, no cops.
You're sick, boy. You need a damn doctor.
Hey, just put me on a bus. I don't need you.
And the title song, Everybody's Talkin', written by Fred Neil, won a Grammy for Best Vocal Performance for Harry Nilsson. I love this movie. If you haven't seen it, you should. As I said, the film got an X rating from the Motion Picture Board, which was ridiculous even then. During this segment, I get to pick out one movie I love made in the last 50 years. It's not old enough to be classic Hollywood, and you've probably seen each one, but maybe not for a long time, and each one is worth seeing again. Take a little trip down memory lane with the George Lucas classic-to-be 1973's American Graffiti.
American Graffiti. Where were you in '62?
Grab that special one and jump into your candy-colored custom or your screaming machine, cruise downtown and catch American Graffiti.
American Graffiti. Baby, what's that?
It's a movie.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Go back in time.
Where were you in '62?
You in that beautiful car? Jeez, what a waste of machinery.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight.
What did you say? Someone wants me. Someone roaming the streets wants me.
And I bet you're smart enough to get us some brew.
A ballpoint pen, a pint of Old Harper.
Okay, you got an ID for the liquor?
Nah, I left it in the car.
You'll have to get it before.
Oh, well, I forgot the car.
We're finally getting out of this turkey camp. You just can't stay 17 forever.
The movie's set in one summer, 1962, in the lives of a group of American teenagers, some off to college, some off to the very beginning of the Vietnam War. Richard Dreyfuss, Harrison Ford, Suzanne Summers, Ron Howard, and a bunch more star, and it has a 50s soundtrack that will get you out of your seats. So sit back with someone you love and take a peek at a time long gone. Until next week, hope you enjoyed the show.